Looking for some new science fiction to read in the upcoming year? Here are 22 of my most anticipated sci-fi book releases for the year 2026. With a new year comes a batch of newly published novels. So if you're the kind of reader who likes to keep up with the new releases, then I'm going to be covering some of the new book releases that I am most anticipating. This is not going to be a list of every science fiction book that is coming out in 2026, but it will be a list of the ones that I'm most interested in, and most of them I will be picking up and probably reviewing on the channel, and in some cases pre-ordering. So I'll have a list of 22 books to go through, and while going through this list, I'll kind of point out to you the ones that I'm most excited for. So I hope you can get a general idea of what's coming out next year and what to look out for with new science fiction. So the first two books on this list are kind of cheating because they have already been released in the United Kingdom, but they have new releases in 2026 for the United States. And the first book I'm going to talk about is one I already have in hard copy because I ordered this from the UK. And it is my favorite author, and that is Alastair Reynolds, and his new book, Halcyon Years. So this one released in October 30th in the UK. But the US release for this novel is January 27th. So for those of you in the United States, that date is coming right up. One of the first books coming out, beginning of the new year. And the US cover is slightly different from the UK cover. Let me put this back up on screen. I will add the UK cover up here, and you can kind of look at the differences, just kind of the positioning of the text, a little bit different. So some of the small details, but for the most part, the cover is the same. Now the biggest difference between these two books is the UK edition is hardcover. The US edition is a trade paperback. So if you want the hardcover, you have to get this one from the UK. So what is this book about? A private investigator is hired to look into a mysterious high-profile death aboard the starship Halcyon in this fresh new science fiction masterpiece from the master of space opera and creator of the beloved Revelation Space universe. Yuri Gagarin is a private investigator who picks up small cases from his local community, runs into trouble with the local police, and generally ekes out a living as best he can. He's aboard the Halcyon, a starship hurtling through space, carrying thousands of passengers, with thousands more sleeping the journey away. Only his usual investigative work, catching cheating spouses and small-time con artists, is about to take a turn. He's hired by a mysterious woman named Ruby Red to look into the death of one of Halcyon's most elite families, and then warned off the case again by a mysterious woman named Ruby Blue. Caught between the two, he's about to be embroiled in a murder mystery in which, at any moment, he could be the latest victim. So check out Halcyon Years by Alastair Reynolds, releasing January 27th in the United States. The next book to release in the US, also on January 27th, is Hearthspace by Stephen Baxter. In this novel, thousands of years ago, a massive colony ship arrived at the Hearth, the celestial birthplace of millions of planets ranging from habitable Earth-like worlds to unimaginable hellscapes of pressure and heat. Using light sails to navigate, humanity has spread itself across dozens of these worlds. But they have also forgotten their beginnings, where they came from, and a terrible secret is about to be unveiled. For Commander Ula Breen on her first tour of duty aboard a patrol sail ship, the universe is about to change around her. Attacked by an unknown and unthought of enemy, she and her fellow crew members will face slavery, punishment, and death. And so will their home planets. Because someone else has seen the richness of the inner hearth and plans to take it for themselves. A new enemy, but one who seems disturbingly familiar, and perhaps knows more about the history of the hearth than even Ulla and her crew. Faced with a complete upheaval of all she thought she knew, Ulla must survive long enough to come up with a plan, one which will unite all the disparate elements of the Hearth, and perhaps discover the reason why humanity came to Hearthspace in the first place. On February 3rd, we have a new novella from Ian MacDonald, Boy with Accidental Dinosaur. Come one, come all to the dinosaur rodeo. Tiff Tamum wants nothing more than to be a dinosaur buckaroo, an orphan in search of a place to rest his head and a job to weigh down his pockets. Tiff has bounced from circus to circus, yearning for a chance to ride a prehistoric beauty under the sparkling lights of a big top. To become a buckaroo, Tiff needs to learn the tools of the trade, yet few dino maestros want to take a scrawny nobody from nowhere under their wing. But when Tiff frees a dino from an abusive owner and braves the roving gangs of the formerly American West to bring the dino to safety, he catches someone's eye, and boy, how those eyes dazzle Tiff from the back of a brucking Carnotaur. Right, so this one sounds like a fun sci-fi adventure involving some dinosaurs. Look out for that on February 3rd. On February 10th, we have a new science fiction novel from Matt Dinniman, author of Dungeon Crawler Carl. A man must fight against impossible odds when gamers from Earth attempt to remotely annihilate it. All colonist Oliver Lewis ever wanted to do was run the family ranch with his sister, maybe play a gig or two with his band, and keep his family's aging fleet of intelligent agricultural bots ticking as long as possible. He figures it will be a good thing when the transfer gate finally opens all the way and restores instant travel and full communication between Earth and his planet, New Sonora. But there's a complication. Even though the settlers were promised they'd be left in peace, Earth's government now has other plans. The colossal Apex Industries is hired to commence an eviction action, but maximizing profits will always be Apex's #1 priority. Why spend money printing and deploying AI soldiers when they can turn it into a game? Why not charge bored Earthers for the opportunity to design their own war machines and remotely pilot them from the comfort of their homes? The game is called Operation Bounce House. Oliver and his friends soon find themselves fighting for their lives against machines piloted by gamers who've paid a premium for the privilege. With the help of an old book from his grandfather and a bucket of rusty parts, Oliver is determined to defend the only home he's ever known. Operation Bounce House by Matt Dinniman, February 10th. Releasing February 24th, the next novel from Edward Ashton, After the Fall. Part alien invasion story, part buddy cop comedy, and part workplace satire. The author of Mickey 7 asks an important question. Would humans really make great pets? Humans must be silent. Humans must be obedient. Humans must be good. All his life, John has tried to live by those rules. Most days it's not too difficult. 120 years after the fall, and 100 years after the Greys swept in to pick the last dregs of humanity out of the wreckage of a ruined world, John has found himself bonded to Martok-Bardine Nee, Black Hand, one of the good Greys. Sure, Martok is broke, homeless, and borderline manic, but he's always treated John like an actual person, and sometimes like a friend. It's a better deal than most humans get. But when Martok puts John's bond up against a collateral, against an abandoned house in the woods that he hopes to turn into a wilderness retreat for wealthy Greys, John learns that there are limits to Martok's friendship. Soon he finds himself caught between an underworld boss who thinks Martok is something that he is very much not. A girl who raised by feral humans and has nothing but contempt for pets, like John and Martok himself, whose delusions of grandeur seem to finally be catching up with him. Also, not for nothing, something in the woods has been killing people. John has 60 days before Martok's loan comes due to unravel the mystery of how humans wound up holding the wrong end of the domestication stick. After the Fall by Edward Ashton, releasing February 24th. Jitterbug by Gareth Powell, releasing March 3rd. In this twisty and action-packed adventure from award-winning author of Future's Edge and The Descendant Machine, a crew of bounty hunters find themselves ensnared in a conspiracy on the very fringes of the devastated solar system. Perfect for fans of James S.A. Corey and Adrian Tchaikovsky. On Earth, they depicted justice as blindfolded and impartial. But out here on the frontier, she was red in tooth and claw. Jupiter and Saturn are gone, and a mysterious force has built a huge habitable sphere from their ashes. When criminals try to lose themselves on this frontier, bounty hunters like Copernicus Brown and the crew of his sentient ship Jitterbug get paid to hunt them down. But when Brown rescues Amber Roth, sole survivor of a pirate attack, the Jitterbug and her crew find themselves the target of powerful political factions who want to control the data chip hidden in Roth's stomach. And all the while, something vast and ancient creeps towards them from the depths of space. Check it out on March 3rd. Jitterbug by Gareth L. Powell. And next we have one of the new releases that I am most excited for in 2026. And it is Adrian Tchaikovsky's new novel, Children of Strife, releasing on March 17th. So this is the 4th book in his Children of Time series. After Earth fell, Ark ships hunted for a new home. They sought lost worlds terraformed in Earth's forgotten past. A ship crewed by maverick humans, spiders, and a spectacularly punchy mantis shrimp captain is about to rediscover one such world and an Ark. Then human crewmate Alice wakes to discover that she, her captain, and the ship's intelligence are the only ones left on this ship. But what happened to those who left to explore the Ark and the world below? So check that one out, releasing on March 17th by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I do plan on having a review of this one up on the channel close to the release of the book. So be looking out for that around March 17th. Next up, we have another Tchaikovsky novel expected to be released sometime in the month of March. And this one is a limited edition release from Subterranean Press, The Best of Adrian Tchaikovsky. This will be a collection of short stories, more than 600 pages long and collecting 37 stories altogether. And we've seen very few of Adrian Tchaikovsky's short stories. So if you're interested in that, this will be a really interesting book to check out. You'll have to get it quick from the Subterranean Press's website. It is a pre-order, limited edition. I don't know if they'll eventually have an ebook or not. Sometimes they do. So hopefully for those of you that aren't able to pick up the physical copy, maybe be looking out for an ebook copy in March. The next novel releasing on April 7th perhaps has the best cover art of this entire list of books, and it is The Subtle Art of Folding Space by John Chu. This is the debut novel from the Nebula and award-winning author John Chu, where he channels unhinged physics, generational trauma, and the comfort of really good dim sum. This isn't your usual jaunt through quantum physics. Ellie's universe, and this one, is falling apart. Her ailing mother is in a coma. Her sister, Chris, accuses her of being insufficiently Chinese between assassination attempts. And a shadowy cabal of engineers is trying to hijack the Skunk Works, the machinery that keeps the physics of each universe working the way it's supposed to. Daniel, Ellie's cousin, has found an illicit device in the Skunk Works, one that keeps Ellie's comatose mother alive, while also creating destabilizing bugs in the physics of this universe. It's not a good day. If she can confront her mother's legacy and overcome her family's generational trauma, she just might find a way to preserve the Skunk Works and reconcile with her sister. But digging into her family's past is thornier than it seems, and the secrets she uncovers will force Ellie to choose between her family and the universe itself. The Subtle Art of Folding Space by John Chu, releasing April 7th. On April 14th, here is another book that I'm really excited for. I don't know if I am more excited for this or Children of Strife. This is The Faith of Beasts by James S.A. Corey, sequel to The Mercy of Gods, which was a 5-star read back when I read it when it first came out. And of course, James S.A. Corey are also the two authors under one pen name of the Expanse novels, which I also loved. So I think if you're already a fan of James S.A. Corey, you probably knew about this one, and you're just as excited as I am. So in Faith of Beasts we have, the monstrous Carix Empire was built by subjugation and war. Thousands of species are bound to their sovereign's command in an endless, blood-soaked test. Be useful in the eternal conflict or be slaughtered. Dafydd Alcor, highest among their human captives, is feared and despised by the very people he champions. Ruthless in carving out his niche in the eternal war machine of the Empire, he will reshape human nature itself as a tool for their alien master's use. But Dafydd's loyalty is not what it seems. The Swarm, an agent of the Carix's deathless enemy, has been smuggled into the Carix World Palace among the human slaves. Its mission? Discover a way to bring down the Empire's eternal reign. But the longer it lives among and within humanity, the more it forgets that it is a weapon. As the human captives spread through the battlefronts of Empire, the awesome power of the Carix becomes clear, and with it, a desperate plan for their destruction. But empires hide secrets, and even the deathless enemy may not be what it appears. The Faith of Beasts, Book 2 in the Captives' War by James S.A. Corey, releasing on April 14th. On April 21st, we have The Mini by Sylvain Neuvel. The minds of 5 normal people merge in a beautiful, unnerving first contact story where the strangest thing humanity has to face is each other, from the critically acclaimed author of Sleeping Giants. I'm you now, we all are. When advertising executive Carol loses it at Booker's donut shop and bites Booker on the arm, it's about the most interesting thing to happen in the small city of Marquette, Michigan in years. But that's only the beginning of the story. Carol and Booker find their minds merging in a collective that extends to include Carol's husband and local doctor, Evelyn. The 4 of them begin the beginning of something larger and stranger than they could ever have imagined. The Mini releasing on April 21st. The next novel releasing on April 28th is a Korean science fiction novel being translated for the first time in English. If We Cannot Go at the Speed of Light by Kim Cheop and translated by Anton Herr. This is a collection of speculative fiction short stories for fans of Exaltation and the Paper Menagerie. In If We Cannot Go at the Speed of Light, Korean science fiction superstar Kim Cheop leads us to places we never thought we'd reach, imagining worlds galaxies away and unfamiliar life forms with near dizzying humanity. So if you're interested in checking out some Korean science fiction, check out this short story collection releasing on April 28th. This next science fiction book releasing on May 5th is another one that's going to be in my most excited releases, and it's more than likely going to get a review on my channel near the time of release. And this is the new Murderbot novel, Platform Decay by Martha Wells. Everyone's favorite lethal sec unit is back. Having someone else support your bad decision feels kind of good. Having volunteered to run a rescue mission, Murderbot realizes that it will have to spend significant time with a bunch of humans it doesn't know, including human children. This may well call for eye contact. Fans of Murderbot will be excited for this new entry in the series, releasing on May 5th by Martha Wells. Also coming out on May 5th is Homebound by Portia Elon. 5 interlocking lives, one beloved story, a dazzling adventure across centuries and continents, in search of the things that hold us together. It's 1983 and Bex can't wait to get the hell out of Cincinnati. She's 19, blasting her Walkman, and hiding from the fact that her beloved uncle, the only person who understood her, is dead. But she has work to do. He left her a half-finished game to complete, one last collaboration to find her way out of loneliness. Little does she know, what Bex is making will echo far into the future and shape the lives of a scientist, a sentient automaton, and a flinty sea captain in ways she cannot imagine. All are bound together by their search for connection, and by a futuristic traveler on a mysterious mission through space. A novel about our deep interconnectedness, Homebound is a clear-eyed, hopeful adventure into humanity's future and a capacity for love, releasing on May 5th by Portia Elon. And we have another May 5th release by the author of the very popular Greenbone saga, Fonda Lee, and this is a science fiction novel The Last Contract of Isako. A battle-worn corporate samurai undertakes one last mission on a merciless planet where death is always a mere breath away. In this standalone dystopian epic from the author of the modern fantasy classic Jade City. Live by the code, die by the knife. Isako is a legendary swordswoman, but every legend must come to an end. When her longtime client unexpectedly retires, she plans to follow, to walk out into the frozen wasteland of their planet, with her head held high and her family enriched by her death. But when she's offered a final mission, she can't refuse, especially when she realizes who lies at the center of it all, Martin, her last and worst apprentice. As she's thrust into a world of corporate espionage and shadowy secrets, what she uncovers could change forever humanity's existence among the stars. The Last Contract of Isako is an epic science fiction like only Fonda Lee can write. Set in a world where money trumps loyalty, the elite have the power to extend life or end it, and one woman in the twilight of her calling must decide what's ultimately worth living or dying for. May 5th by Fonda Lee. On May 19th, we have another author that I'm excited about, Ray Naylor, The Palaces of the Crow. In Ray Naylor's speculative novel of the recent past, 4 young teens caught between Nazis and the Red Army survive winter in the woods with the help of a flock of highly intelligent crows with a magnificent secret of their own to protect. Naria, a young Jewish girl who dreams of becoming a biologist, has befriended a local flock of crows. Zeslaw is an underage Polish soldier who deserts the Red Army and runs into the freezing Lithuanian woods. Kazia is a Roman horse trader whose family is on the run from Soviet collectivization. As the German blitzkrieg crashes across the border in June 1941, all 3 are caught up in the onslaught. Along with an abandoned boy who cannot speak, they are driven into the primeval forest, where they survive by forming an unbreakable bond with one another, and with Naria's intelligent crows, who for years have been bringing her intricate gifts, suggesting they are no ordinary corvids. As the war goes on, the crows warn the children of danger and help them hide from the human threats of the forest. Check out The Palace of Crows by Ray Naylor, releasing on May 19th. Releasing on June 16th, we have the next massive space opera from Peter F. Hamilton, and this is the sequel to Exodus the Archimedes Engine. It is Exodus the Helium Sea. This is the epic conclusion in the Archimedes Engine duology, set in the universe of the Exodus science fiction action-adventure video game. Coming soon. For millennia, the Crown Dominion has been at relative peace with the Celestials in control, and the human population little better than serfs. But now the Crown Dominion is facing a crisis of epic proportions, one that could change the balance of power in the Centauri cluster forever. As an exiled faction that has been waiting for 7,000 years beyond the Helium Sea has returned to claim their vengeance. For Finn and his human allies who have ended up at the center of this conflict, either through circumstance or manipulation, this is an unprecedented opportunity. If they can band together, they may be able to outwit the Celestials and finally earn their fellow humans a place of independence and power in the Crown Dominion. But first, they must locate and master ancient artifacts of immense power that could give them a needed edge in the conflict ahead. And all while ducking the forces that are determined to knock them off the board for good. June 16th by Peter F. Hamilton, The Helium Sea. On June 23rd, we have The Sixth Nik by Daniel Kraus, author of the novel Whalefall, a startling hybrid of the Alien franchise and Ender's Game. Deep into space, far past the Tri-World outposts, beyond range of the lethal Trollbot internet, soars the Cygnus, a ship woven from biomatter and capable of reacting to every need of its human crew. Cecilia, a 9-year-old cultist with a brain enhanced by arcane tech known as Nyx, is boarded to investigate the enigma of Fim, a plague-riddled planet that has abruptly gone rogue. The mysterious crew includes a faceless assassin, a beautiful engineer jigsawed by plastic surgery, an addicted medic, and most lethal of all, a rugged, non-modded captain with a score to settle with Cecilia. Other dangers abound. A hacked robot begins to believe Cecilia is its daughter. The sickness itself is mutating, possibly even pregnant. And the secret of Fim is more horrific than anyone could have imagined. To survive, Cecilia will need to forsake her predetermined fate and embrace the unknown. In The Sixth Nik by Daniel Kraus on June 23rd. I think by now we all know how prolific of an author Adrian Tchaikovsky is. So on June 23rd he has yet another new novel coming out, Green City Wars. Philip Marlowe meets Redwall, where all the characters are animals fighting for survival underneath a city of humans. Down these mean streets a beast must walk. In the solar cities of the future, the humans relax in the sun and the animals work in the shadows. Genetically engineered little helpers serving humanity unseen, unheard. Meet Scotch, Raccoon PI. Yours for a few buttons as long as the job isn't too illegal, whatever that means. A mouse has gone missing. Normally this wouldn't raise any hackles nor any alarms, but this mouse is something that everyone seems to want, though nobody appears particularly eager to say what that something is. The fee is good, perhaps too good. Certainly not something Scotch can easily turn down. If only Scotch can work out where the mouse is hiding, what he's hiding, and why his secrets are upsetting a lot of animals caught up in the Green City Wars. Releasing on June 23rd by Adrian Tchaikovsky. On July 28th, we have a new sci-fi fantasy, The Demon Star, by Jesse Aragon. Gods rule this planet. Demons stalk its canyons, while kings beg for mercy. Can 3 mere humans rewrite its destiny? The otherworldly religious conflict of Dune, the cosmic strangeness of Gideon the Ninth, and the heart-pounding action of Red Rising converge in this horror-tinged epic science fiction fantasy debut. Ysera Nakhis was a human sacrifice marked for death. Unlike the thousands harvested each year, though, she did the unthinkable. She survived. And what she brought back with her could change the fate of the worlds. When Ysera's estranged son is chosen to become the vessel of a god-killing demon, she is faced with a choice: allow him to harness cosmic power at an unspeakable cost, or doom millions to save him. She finds an unlikely ally in brother Jason Karras, once a gifted exorcist, now a guilt-ridden addict, desperate for purpose. From a demon-haunted canyon to a star-bound satellite, they must battle their way through cultists, aliens, and the gods themselves. The truths they unearth are deeper and more sinister than anything they could have imagined. In this cinematic thrill ride, Jesse Aragon plunges us into a world as intricate and inventive as it is brutal. Coming in July 28th, The Demon Star. For fans of fantasy author Richard Swan, and I am a fan of Richard Swan, he is now coming out with a new science fiction novel, The Infinite State. This novel will be released on August 4th. In this blistering science fiction epic, best-selling author Richard Swan presents a thrilling tale of survival and an eviscerating examination of totalitarianism. The Infinite State begins at a flashpoint in the lives of a widowed party member, a disgraced investigator, and a hypersled pilot, entangled in a plot to escape the suffocating authority of a fascist state. Who gives you life? Pater Eternus. Catherine's husband is dead. As an esteemed member of Pater Eternus, governing party of the fascist galaxy-spanning the Curian Empire, he has left behind an estate of immeasurable wealth, and Catherine is going to inherit it. Who gives you purpose? Pater Eternus. Life under the Eternal Father is rigidly stratified, surveilled, and controlled. Each new day is to be endured, not lived. But with Catherine's newfound fortune, she is presented with a rare and dangerous opportunity. Purchase a virgin world and create a better, fair society. Who gives you joy? Pater Eternus. But the Empire cannot allow its wayward daughter to succeed. And as Catherine works in secret, recruiting allies she's not even sure she can trust, she will discover exactly how far Pater Eternus is willing to go to stop her. Because Catherine is going to create something nobody has seen for many years. Releasing on August 4th, The Infinite State by Richard Swan. And last book on this list, who could have guessed it, is another Adrian Tchaikovsky novella. Preaching to the Choir. So this one is not exactly science fiction, it's a horror novella, but it is being released by Tchaikovsky. Family gathering in an English mansion devolves into horror in this chilling novella. Elena Mendez thought she understood what old money was. She knew her boyfriend Ross Inderbo was rich, like old money rich. She knew he was the scion of some eccentric British line that predates the whole United States. She knew he didn't really get on well with his family and that he fled to America to study free of their influence. Ross has been summoned to Enderby, the family mansion built as a monastery centuries ago, for an exclusive, mysterious family gathering that happens only once a generation. Spouses and partners aren't invited, but Ross has asked Elena to come anyway for moral support. But there are secrets in the moldering old pile, and terrors in the unkempt woods on the estate. And Elena comes to realize that old money means so much more than she ever imagined. Releasing on August 11th, Preaching to the Choir by Adrian Tchaikovsky. All right, so that's it. There's my list of 22 of my most anticipated science fiction new releases coming out in 2026. Let me know in the comments which of these books are you most looking forward to. And are there any books that I missed that you would like to point out that you're looking forward to as well? And be looking out on this channel in the coming year. I will be trying to put out some new reviews of some of these novels that I've mentioned. And please give a like or subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.